I'm Sebastian, and this is for Mrs. Mann's class entering Owl Moon by Yolen. It was a late one winter night, long past bedtime, when Paul and I went owling. There was no wind, the trees stood still, a gentle statues, and the moon was bright, the sky seemed to shine. Somewhere behind us a train whistled blue, long and low, like a sad, sad song. I could hear it through the woolen camp. Paul had pulled down over my ears a farm dog answered the train, and then a second dog joined in. They sang out, "Trains and dog," for a real long time, and when the voices faded away, it was quite as a dream. We walked toward Paul and I. Our feet crunched over the crisp snow, and little gray footprints followed us. Paul made a long shadow, but mine was short and round. I had to run after him to keep up every now and then, and my bumped after me. We reached the line of pine trees, black pony against the sky, and Paul held up his hand and stopped right where he was and waited. He looked up and searched the stars and reading a map there, the moon in his face and his silver mask. Then he called, "Hoo, hoo, 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 hoo," the sound of a great horned owl. "Hoo, hoo, 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 hoo." Again he called out, and then again. After each call, it was silent, and after a moment we both listened, but there was no answer. He shrugged, and I shrugged too. I was not disappointed. My brothers all said, "Sometimes there's an owl, and sometimes there isn't." We walked on. I could feel the cold as if with somebody's icy hand. My palm down on my back and nose and tops of my cheeks felt cold and hot at the same time, but I never said a word. If you're going owling, you have to be quiet and make your own heat. And went into the woods, and shadows were the blackest things I have never seen. They standed wild in the snow. My mouth felt furry, and scarf over it was felt warm, and didn't ask what kinds of things hid behind the trees in the middle of the night. When you go owling, you have to be brave. Then we came clearing into the dark woods, the moon high above us. It seemed to fit exactly over the center of this clearing, and snow below it, white winter, thin milk, and in a cereal bowl. I sighed, and Papa held up his hand. At the sound, I put my mittens over my scarf, over my mouth, and listened hard. And Papa called, "Hoo, hoo, 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 hoo." I listened so hard my ears hurt, and my eyes got cloudy. With the cold, Pa raised his face to call out again. Before he could open his mouth, an echo came from the tree, rattling its way through the trees. "Hoo, hoo, 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 hoo." Pa almost smiled, then he called back, "Hoo, hoo, 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 hoo," just as if he and Owl were talking about supper, or about the woods, or about the moon, or the cold. I took my mitten off the scarf off my mouth, and I almost smiled too. The owl called closer and closer, higher up from the trees. On the edge of the meadow, nothing in the meadow moved. All of a sudden, an owl shadow, part of the big tree shadow, lifted off and flew right over us. We watched silently. We heard our mouths heat of those words we had not spoken. The shadow hooted again. Pa turned on his big flashlight and caught the owl just as it was landing on the branch. For a minute, 3 minutes, maybe in 100 minutes, we stared at one another. Then the owl pumped his great wings and lifted off the branch like a shadow without sound and flew back into the forest. Time to go home, Pa said to me. I knew then I could talk. I could even laugh out loud, but I was a shadow as we walked home. When you go owling, you don't need words or a worm or anything but hope. That was Pa says, the kind of hope that flies on silent wings under a shining owl moon. This book is Owl Moon, and two boys go in the woods, and one of them goes hoo 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 a couple times, and then an owl comes. And before on that, an owl never comes, and then an owl never hoots back, and he does it near the mountains, and then goes near the forest, and then big clearing, and then he went hoo hoo hoo. Then an owl came, and then they did it for maybe even for 100, maybe 3, maybe 1, and then they went back home. Bye.